In the golden age of kickboxing, there was a sudden death elimination tournament, where 16 masters from all different backgrounds and styles came together to test themselves for honor and for glory. This was the legendary K1 Grand Prix, where the best talent all fought multiple times in one night to determine who was truly the greatest in the world. We began in the epic 1997 Grand Prix, where 11 of the 15 fights ended by KO. Andy Hoog was a karate practitioner with an insane high kick that regularly put competitors on the canvas. He was also proud owner of the Hoog Tornado, a spinning hook kick thrown to the opponent's leg. Hoog was already a favorite going into the tournament, having won the year before. Guenette, on the other hand, was a complete newcomer. His background was in Taekwondo, having won several tournaments and medals. It was anyone's guess how he was going to perform after transitioning to the highest level of kickboxing so late in his career. Only one man would proceed to the prelims to the next phase of the tournament. It was time to find out who. Guenette immediately displayed the technical, high-mobility movement common to Taekwondo practitioners. He stepped to the outside, taking the superior foot position, then feinted across and shifted forward to southpaw. But he wasn't done yet. He next threw a switch knee, which barely missed, then a tight hook, which was blocked, then turned to exit away to Hoog's open side. This was an incredible, high-level display of footwork, but for some reason, it had done absolutely nothing. In total contrast, Hoog took his time. He methodically marched forward, taking space with jab and teep feints, incrementally moving Guenette closer and closer into the corner. Guenette bit on a kick feint and tried to parry it, then again led with a huge right. But Hoog simply stepped inside to smother it. Guenette tried to clinch over Hoog's guard, but Hoog simply shoved his way out of the clinch, unleashing a huge left that knocked Guenette back. Guenette managed a double collar tie and tried to turn Hoog off balance, but Hoog controlled his bicep and turned his underhook into a frame against Guenette's chin, throwing him to the floor. This was the second time in a row that Hoog had overcome advanced, complex techniques with simple, reliable staples. The ref counted the push as a knockdown, and the theme continued. Guenette blended a lateral shuffle into a roundhouse kick, and Hoog simply parried it. Guenette rebounded deep inside, and Hoog just slammed a hard roundhouse kick into his leg. But now, Guenette rode the kick back into southpaw, then V-shifted like Willie Pep back into an orthodox stance to throw a right. But Hoog just beat him with his tighter left, barely missing, then piled on. Guenette tried another knee, which Hoog dealt with by slightly lowering his elbow, then escaped. So far, for all of Guenette's movements, he had done 0 damage to Hoog. But then, something interesting happened. Guenette started to actually land. Guenette threw a lead leg roundhouse to Hoog's side from southpaw to counter Hoog's left. As he did this, he was already loading up for a big lead hook that was driven forward by the retraction of his kick. The punch barely missed, the next one partially landed, and Guenette turned the third one into a frame to lateral shift off angle to southpaw. This still hadn't done much, but if he could stay consistent, just maybe he could start to wear down Hoog. For his part, Hoog continued to press forward, and Guenette threw as he shuffled back, seamlessly turning his shuffle into a shift to load up a roundhouse that again connected clean to Hoog's side. Once more, Guenette chained a punch off the same side for good measure. But now it was clear that there was a big problem. Guenette's last strike should have at least slowed Hoog down, but instead, Hoog didn't really seem to notice it. And most likely, this all had to do with Guenette's background in point fighting. Mobility-based fighters usually use their footwork to wear down opponents with low impact strikes, like Ali with his jabs, or run them into hard shots, like Willie Pep or James Toney. But Guenette was throwing power shots as if they were rangefinders, with no base and no momentum, meaning he had no weight to put into his best attacks. Guenette had spent years developing inclinations for Taekwondo tournament rules, which often frown upon powerful attacks as they lack control. Completely unfazed by Guenette's attacks, Hugh simply pressed forward until he connected. At one point, Guenette just full-on ran away, but Hugh caught up and started spamming punches. Guenette seemed to have no idea how to dispel such a huge amount of force off of his guard. Hugh quickly sent him to the canvas. Showing the same heart that had earned him so many tournament championships, Guenette got back up, ready for more. And it was at this point that all hell broke loose. Hugh threw a rear leg kick as Guenette stepped outside to throw a right. Guenette's punch partially connected, going around Hugh's leverage guard. Meanwhile, Guenette's deep step meant that Hugh's shin was in the perfect position to chop right through his leg. Both men stumbled, but Guenette managed to right himself enough to slam another roundhouse into Hugh's ribs. Hugh grabbed his leg, then used his free hand to slam a punch into Guenette's chin. The ref separated them, and Hugh immediately went back on the attack. Even now, Guenette showed no respect, throwing Hugh's own signature attack at him and missing by a wide berth. Hugh flurried, connecting with a hard hook, but missing a high kick that he threw so hard he slipped. Guenette hadn't done much damage, but his defense had obviously started to get on Hugh's nerves. Hugh took a deep breath and slowed down. He calmly parried Guenette's body kick, ducked under his right, then smoothly shuffled inside to send Guenette to the Shadow Realm. Stay tuned for the rest of the tournament arc. Big thanks to Glory Kickboxing for providing me with such high quality footage. You can stream their epic modern day kickboxing bouts on gloryfights.com or their mobile app, all linked in the description. For the modern martial artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.